Hey, tburrier from tburrier.com. So do you want to have people on your team, and this doesn't matter if they are employees or independent contractors, or if you're in a home business, which would be independent contractors, do you want to have those people become confident? Do you want to have them become confident and to have the ability to excel? So, obviously it's a rhetorical question. So how do you do that systematically? Because it's important, right, to understand that the more you grow someone's competence, the more you grow their confidence. And if you grow their confidence, they begin to believe more, they'll begin to do more, and they'll begin to get more results, which will then feed that whole cycle of belief in addition to them learning. But the key is, how do you get them there? Because, a very, very high percentage of the population struggles with self-belief and self-esteem. It's been estimated that it's as high as 85%. I actually believe it's a little higher. The 85% came out of studies, but I think it's higher because I think a lot of people are afraid to admit it. I think practically everybody struggles with self-belief in some area, and many people struggle with self-belief in every area. And, I'm someone that knows how that feels, because that's been an issue for me. And I've had to overcome it in many ways, but in other ways, it never goes away, right? Your internal fabric never leaves you, right? You learn how to manage it. You develop other things. You develop strategies for overcoming it, etc. But you don't want to leave it up to chance, right? That this person that you've brought into your team, that you've hired, or who has joined your team, makes it or doesn't make it based on them figuring it out, right? And it's not just, right? I know that in every business, there's a system that people follow. That's great. But you have to understand that everybody learns different. They learn at different speeds. They learn at a different pace. Sometimes they learn in a different way, and they receive information differently. There's all kinds of different things. And so you want to make sure that you're giving everybody the best opportunity. So yes, you have some sort of system of work, but you have to have a mental system of bringing someone along, right? So it all starts with training, right? Obviously, it starts with training. But the key here about training is an event, right? So how long does training last? What do people really remember? Not much, right? Not much. And so important not to overwhelm people with too much stuff in training. You want to make sure the basics are what they get, the very rudimentary basics. And man, you got to be really careful here, because no matter what your business is, there are all kinds of complexities, right? There are all kinds of possibilities and tangents in everything. And the more you know, the more you'll talk about those things. And you can't, because the more you talk about those things, the more you confuse someone, right? They're not even there yet in their mind. And yes, you want to prep them for that, but that's where this kind of process comes in. So training is where it starts, but really your coaching as the mentor, the leader, right? That is the key. There was a 3-year study done by the Harvard Business Review that said high performers were 4 times as likely to have one-on-one coaching. 4 times. And there was a quote that Kuznis and Posner's Leadership Challenge book, which is one of the best you could find. They do an entire section on how to coach and mentor and teach, but they talked about how no one ever got to be the best at anything without the constructive feedback and probing questions and active teaching of respected coaches. And that's so easy to see, right? You think about the people that are highly visibly successful in everything that is highly visible, right? So think about actors and athletes, and all these people have coaches, right? They didn't just figure it out, right? It's just a rare thing. It's a rare thing. And same in business, right? Pretty much, yes, there is that rare so-called self-made. They're still not self-made. Nobody's self-made. But there's that rare person that mostly figured it out on their own. Everybody has had someone that mentored or coached or poured into them in some way, shape, or form at some point. So you want to provide that on purpose for people, along with whatever your business system. So a really simple kind of set of, I'll give you 5 steps to follow along with your people. The first one is, obviously, you give them the knowledge and the training that they can then use the self-work with, right? So your training, when you're doing your training, it needs to be the basics of your process, but then it also needs to include the information they can study that's deeper, that feeds the process so they can grow their knowledge on their own, because that's going to be important, right? The pathway of developing skill is doing and studying at the same time, right? That's really the pathway. There's other things too. There's the feelings that you have to assess, and then there's the coachings. But really, two main things that they can input right away is the doing, the self-work, the doing and the studying. And so you need to let them know exactly what it is. And the second step is, as they're going to implement and practice, help them to remember their past successes. So this is a really unique approach, because most people don't think about this. Most people built monuments to their failures in life, and they haven't thought about their past successes. And you might think, well, how's that relevant? Well, it's proof, right? It's personal proof that if they apply themselves to something, they can do it. And so that is huge, because it helps someone overcome that problem of self-belief, because that's the number one thing that will hold people back. If people don't believe, they don't do. If they do believe, they do. And if they do whatever it is, they start to grow a result. And so belief is at the center of that. And so by giving them a little understanding of their past successes and helping them be clear about the learning curve that it took to do that, you help them a little bit in that process. So that's the second thing. Then the third thing is, you want to be coaching on an ongoing basis. So they begin to take action, they begin to do the thing. You don't want to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months to give them performance feedback. No, you want to be right there, right? You want to be right there, on a frequent basis, breaking down their activities, helping them see where they could have done this or where they could have done that, right? That's really important. And at the same time, it allows you to impart new knowledge to that person. So this is a very systematic approach that's effective. And then the fourth thing is, help them understand that they're going to struggle, right? They're going to struggle, so embrace it, right? And that's really you as their leader, letting them know that the struggle is a real thing, that you had it, that you still have it in your own way, right? And that you just embrace it. It's part of the process. It shows that they're doing it and making, that they will progress. Boy, that's really meaningful for that person, because it helps them understand, instead of seeing struggle as a sign that they can't do it, they'll see struggle as a sign that they're on the right track. What a difference in mindset. And that's going to come from you. It's not going to come from them. They're not going to get that on their own. They have to have it from you. And then the fifth thing is practice, practice, practice. Practice, implement, right? That's you got to continue to, bring it back to, okay, we've debriefed, you're embracing the struggle, you understand, now go back in. And you keep working that cycle, and you will develop people who grow competence and grow confidence and grow belief and become successful. That is the trail, right? You can leave it up to human nature, and then that's just a numerical thing. But there's some clay out there you can mold, right? And so if they're not willing, obviously none of this matters, and you'll know, and then you can move on. But if someone really is willing, then they can, provided you give them the platform to do it. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to email me. You can also check out some more of my business training at tburrier.com. Thanks for being here. Feel free to share with other people.